Now with regards to raising the hands and making dua, the Prophet ﷺ have been reported as raising his hands in many occasions while making dua. Sometimes raising his hands to the extent that the whiteness under his arm would be very clear to the viewers. So raising the hands is recommended, and it is one of the etiquette of making dua. This is something that's agreed upon it. But the question is, there are certain situations where the Prophet ﷺ has not been reported as raising his hands while making dua. I'm talking about the followers. When the Prophet is making dua, for instance, while he was giving the khutbah, he would point by the index finger, so the companions would not raise their hands. So that's why those who are strictly following the Sunnah said it is not prescribed to raise your hands in this situation. Also, we discussed in details repeatedly that dua is recommended at any time, but there are best times, such as while making sujood, and by the end of every prayer, whether fard or nafil, prior to making taslim, right after you recite the Durood Sharif or at-tashahud or at-tahiyyat, and before making taslim. The Prophet ﷺ was reported as invoking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala almost after every tashahud and before taslim, seeking refuge with Allah from 4 things: from the trial of life and death, from the trial of the false Messiah, and from the torment of the grave. So it is also recommended to copy the Prophet ﷺ in this regard. Now we come to a very important thing, which is it a sunnah to make dua right after the salah, whether in congregation or in singular, everyone by themselves? No, there is no indications whatsoever. But if somebody does that every once in a while, there is no problem, because the dua, we said, it is recommended after every ta'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to invoke Him upon completing the manasik of Hajj. فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So in these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us as what kind of dua should be invoked right upon completing the ceremonies of Hajj. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لِلصَّائِمِ عِنْدَ فِطْرِهِ دَعْوَةٌ لَا تُرَدْ. At the time of breaking your fast, the conclusion of a great righteous act, which is fasting, you have an invocation which will not be rejected. It will be honored and answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And similarly, and that's why we say the best time to make dua after the prayer is after reciting the Durood Sharif or at-tashahud, and before making the salah, or within the sujood. You don't have to be limited to the 4 invocations, seeking refuge with Allah from the false Messiah, life, the trial of life and death, etc. You can expand. So if you have anything in mind, you can expand. Also, I'd like to confirm my statement to the brothers and sisters who are non-Arabic speakers, who do not know how to make dua in Arabic. And somebody wants Allah to make it easy for him to buy a car, or to marry to this girl, or to move to another country, or to have a better job. Can I make dua in Urdu? Yes, you can. Can I make dua in French? Yes, obviously you can, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So Islam is not only for Arab, nor is it only for Arabic speakers. And even if you don't know Arabic and you're a good, devout Muslim, you only know what is enough for you to offer your prayer and worship Allah properly, you're eligible to enter paradise, perhaps more than others who know the Arabic language perfectly, but they do not perfect what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to do. So I'm confirming, you can always make dua in your language if you do not know the Arabic language. And it is always best to memorize a few supplications have been stated in the Quran or by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So brother, if every once in a while you're making dua after the prayer, this is not an innovation. It would be only an innovation if you make it a practice or a tradition that you do it after every salah. Wallahu a'lam.